This will solve the problem of arousal for women for good. I will tell you how a woman's arousal can become fast, really powerful, and with authentic connection to her partner. And most of all, reliable, accessible on any day, not on and off. Sex can become super easy. But there is much more that you will get from it than just arousal. It will give a woman more pleasure, richness, and orgasmicity in the whole of sex after. So this video is for women to understand how to liberate their own arousal, but it is also for men. You must watch this to understand the golden secret to her ultimate arousal. So unfortunately, a very unhelpful, in my opinion, sex advice has become gospel, that women need to be mentally stimulated, that the way to a woman's arousal is through the mind. Have you all taken this on as the truth? Mental stimulation can be a nice facet in sexuality, but presented as a key to female arousal, it has taken women further and further away from their richest and highest plane of their sex life. Mental stimulation for some women is their personality, and you're not doing anything wrong. But for most women, I believe it is a band-aid, a crutch, a workaround to deal with confusing inability to be properly organically aroused through the body. In my 20 years as a sex coach, I have worked with thousands of women. Many of them at first told me that they needed mental stimulation in sex. They didn't. They resorted to mental arousal, and I say this because I've taken them off this crutch, and I've seen how they opened a much greater happiness and richness and fulfillment and sexual energy in their life by walking away from it. Mental stimulation kind of works, not fantastically, but it can also create many more problems that it solves. It trains women to be even more in the head, even less in their body, which is already a #1 problem for women. Also has the drawbacks of being inconsistent, elusive. Also sometimes it can make excitement in your head, but that doesn't always translate into sensitivity, pleasure, aliveness, and orgasmicity in the body. Women may still feel that the body is not working. It's a phenomenon known as arousal non-concordance, and it can often feel inauthentic. Psyching yourself up with imagination, anticipation, or fantasy, when deep in your heart you wish that you could be aroused through real connection, energy, and love with your partner. I will make another video soon expanding on why mental stimulation is unhelpful advice for women. If you're still in doubt, and I will post it here. To be totally clear, you can include it in your sex life for some fun and play. It's okay, just not your best and most empowering choice, and it won't open your ultimate sexual potential. Every good sex coach will try to teach you to get out of your head and into your body, and this workaround, positioned as the ultimate sex advice for women, is actually reinforcing completely the opposite. So how can women open their ultimate sexual aliveness and arousal? You need to shift and develop ability to get aroused through the body, the real interaction of your bodies, the real energy that is exchanged. This will make arousal far easier, faster, more reliable, and better. Now, people are skeptical about arousal through the body. Why? Because you're thinking of the crappy version of it. Every woman has experienced being worked like a machine in physical foreplay. It didn't work for you at all, and you feel that you need some mental engagement to help you, and not just this. And that's fair. But we shouldn't compare down, we should compare up to the best version of it, which is far more powerful and effective than mental stimulation. So when I say arousal through the body, what I mean is a rich, wholesome interaction through your body as lovers, not just physical stimulation. That is your greatest resource. You are in your body, feeling every sensation, all that wonderful energy, drinking it in, filling up with it. In that interaction, you're feeling connection through each other's bodies. You are conversing through these sensations that flow between you. You are loving each other through the body. You are desiring each other through your bodies. You are enjoying the richness of each other's bodies. And at the same time, with sexual skill, intelligently activating the richest sexual sensation with good sexual technique and a good understanding of the body. Your mind is here, not in some imagination or mental excitement that takes you away, but your mind needs to be here, absorbing every drop, listening to it, and that will empower your sexual energy. And through this, you create rich sexual energy, real and authentic, with real feelings. So you don't create just excitement, which is actually no more than just a wish in your head. You create real activation of your body. Yes, women need connection in sex, not just physical rubbing, but that needs to be here, feeling each other through the body and not in some imagination. To sum up, you are just creating sexual energy between your bodies and coming alive with it. This will not just arouse you. This true activation of your sexual system will continue into sex and will result in more pleasure, richness, orgasmicity later in sex. And it will feel like the truth of authentically making love to your partner and not a trick to make sex enticing. You increase your sexual sensitivity, responsiveness, the orgasmic nature of your body. So even for women who enjoy mental stimulation, this will give you a lot more, and it's far easier day to day after the initial realignment. So, seems fairly simple, right? Almost like a natural way to get aroused, really. As it should be. So why isn't it working for you already, and why do you need to be mentally stimulated? What do we need to make this really work from both partners? Let's start with men. From men, it takes this: stop your performance anxiety about the technical results of achieving arousal or orgasm. Understand that you are filling her up with sexual energy right now, and yourself. Let the woman relax from complying with your target, and don't hurry her through the stages, and just really love her body intensely, and it will open up. It will give her all the connection that she needs. And this can be done in many different ways, from slower to more explosive, depending on the day, depending on the woman, and a skillful sexual technique. More on that below. And what will happen is, the more she's connected to her real alive sexual energy, there is a cumulative effect. At the beginning can be slow to establish this connection, but once you gain momentum, I've often seen women being able to get aroused in just a few minutes. Now, what is needed from the woman here? Women cut themselves off completely from their sexuality by being pathologically in their head. Resorting to mental stimulation only reinforces that and atrophies your ability to connect with your feeling and your body. This atrophy is why this kind of arousal doesn't seem to work for you, plus the component of sexual technique that I will cover later. So you need a pivot. You need to ditch mental arousal for the sake of opening your greater sexuality. Learn to be in your body. Practice feeling sensation in your body, listening to it, savoring it, absorbing it. Develop your perception of it. Develop this as your most important sexual skill, and it will also solve your problem of being in your head. I've taken many women through this process, and it has been surprising how fast you can gain this ability, which will completely turn your sex life around. And the third essential component to make this work is good sexual skills. Sexual skills, how to bring out the best sexual energy in a woman's body, in different areas of her body, in her genitals, how to put it all together into a rich field of sexual energy, and importantly, the awareness of the process, how arousal moves through the stages, how this sexual energy is nurtured and grows during arousal. That's also a skill. These sexual skills is what makes this most reliable and powerful way of arousal for women possible. The lack of these skills is typically what makes it fail. The poor, non-engaging sexual technique that is widespread. Now, in this topic, people might have an aversion, like I'm reducing sex to something technical. And you know that my content is not like that. But I always talk about how important sexual skills and sexual techniques still are. So I understand the aversion, but I see sexual technique differently. We can think of 3 levels of awareness here. On the basic level, thinking of sexual technique as just mechanical stimulation and movement. Yes, we discover that mechanical foreplay doesn't work at all. It feels dead. Then we go to the second level and we think that it's all about attraction, seduction, excitement. And we think it's not about foreplay technique at all. The result is that sex is still trapped at the mercy of the fickle mind, and we don't get the freedom that we deeply desire. And the freedom and liberation is actually attained in the sexual skills and the sexual technique. Because then, moving on to the third level, we come back to discover again that no, sexual technique is actually really important. But on a higher, more wholesome level, sexual technique really is your intelligence in how you are engaging sexual energy in the body, your real understanding how the body produces the best sexual sensation, sexual feeling. It is your art and your skill with which you create magnificent feelings. Everything beautiful, powerful, effective that people do in general involves a technique. We have sex in the physical world of the body. There is a reality to how it works. Knowing this reality makes you a master of this reality. And it's totally true that good sexual technique is not just physical. A good sexual technique has a lot of physical intelligence, how to bring out the best sexual feeling in the body, but it also includes presence, connection, desire, love in the technique, at least how I teach all my techniques. So good sexual techniques are powerful tools with which you create the art of amazing sexual energy in the body, but also the feelings that you receive in sex. And these tools liberate you to create sexual energy at will. Then this powerful and reliable arousal for a woman becomes always available. Maybe available in different forms on different days, days, depending on the state and energy of the woman, but that is also a part of the mastery and part of the technique. It allows for huge variation in the free flow and different intensities and sequencing and calibration for different women. And this creation of sexual energy is a much more authentic sexual aliveness for the woman than just being excited in her head and not fully connected in her body. And the truth is that a lot of the time women think that arousal through the body doesn't work is because the technique is poor. Luckily, it is totally under our control and we don't need to feel helpless. Many men are eager to improve the sexual skill of arousing a woman's body, but women can be more passive, wishing that the man will learn it somewhere. So the quest for women is to take ownership of that too, to understand yourself, whether you learn it through experiences, through experimentation, through discovery, or from good external professional sources. When you know yourself, you can communicate, and then everything's possible. But a lot of women that I worked with, for example, they felt that they didn't know what works for them. So if that's the case, if you are stuck, that's a reason I encourage women, even when they're single, to learn from my online courses as well, where I teach both men and women all the best process and skills and practices and techniques, which I have seen work excellently for women from my experience of working with women over the years. The point is, this is all very learnable, but also as an option discoverable on your own, because it's not in the scope of this video to give every sexual technique and skill that is important for this, but I am giving you a roadmap of how you can reach a different plane of really effective arousal for women, the parts that make it work. It's a clear map and you can experiment and fill in all these components.